Hello and welcome back to another episode of Slick Willy Fly. So this is kind of an emergency video for me. I have been tying a little bit more upon request, a bunch of dry fly. This is actually really cool, it's a pupa, but it's time for me to get back to my streamers. So what I decided to do was I'm gonna make a point up craft fur baitfish. I'm going to use white and salmon as my primary colors, and let's get right in on it. So the only way that I know how to make a streamer that will ride point up is to apply some kind of a ballast on the bottom side of the hook. In this case, I'm using Dumbell Eyes. Now I'm not going to be near the front because it is going to be a reverse tie. So I'm about a third of the way back on the hook shank, and I'm going to go ahead and put some Dumbell Eyes. These eyes look a little banged up because they are a little banged up. I have recycled them from a previous fly. So the way I apply them, I use a little figure 8 and then I come under and over the hook, under the eye and over the hook, and what that does is it draws everything tight. So once I feel good that that's nice and tight where I want it, I give it a little zap. So I pre-prepped a little craft fur to not waste time. I have other videos where I've showed how to use craft fur, and I'm not gonna waste any time making craft fur in this particular video because I do want to do a head, and I haven't decided whether or not I'm gonna do the head on this video because I have other videos. I hope you have a cocktail because fly tying is fun, but it's way more fun when you have a cocktail. So this is actually the bottom of the hook. So I'm going to reverse this and go to what is going to be the top of the hook, because that will be, I'm going to make the taper, so this particular craft fur clump should be my longest craft fur clump. Bring the thread to the back. Be careful not to grab that hook point. So I'm going to say a little bit longer, just a hair longer than the actual hook shank. I don't want this to be tremendously long. You can distribute after a couple of wraps. Make sure you like where it looks. Distribute with your fingers. Pull tight and wrap it up. Now in this particular fly, I'm going to use a little Cactus Chenielle to make the body. So I'm not so interested in bringing craft fur very far up. So I can go ahead and trim that off right there on the tag. Now I'm going to do the same. I can take a bodkin and distribute around the hook. That's not a bad idea. Now I'm going to do the same on the opposite side, but I'm going to keep this craft fur just a hair shorter than the one I just applied, because I want to create this baitfish taper. So a couple of wraps, loose wraps, distribute a little, and crank that sucker tight. Twist off and take away the tag. So now it's time for a little bit of flash, because you guys know that I like flash. So since it's going to ride hook up, we're going to go ahead and put the flash on the inside, or I don't know, this to me is the top now. And in this particular case today, I'm using Flashabour UV Pearl Orange. And I don't need a whole lot. I'm going to take a couple of strands, maybe 3 or 4 strands. I can open this new package, a new package. That was on there pretty good. Now I could take whatever just came out, will work. Stagger the ends a little like I always do. Fold them in half. That looks pretty good. And I'm gonna do not the side, but like say side and a little bit up on my side. And then I'm gonna bring this around to the opposite side. And a couple wraps just to make sure that I like the placement, which I do. Pull everything tight. And now cut open all these loops. And I think that looks good. And I think that color is gonna go good with this fly. So now I'm also additionally gonna put on a little bit of pearl flash. Polar flash, I'm sorry, not pearl flash, polar flash. I'm so bad with names. Sometimes you gotta wonder if English is my first language. I'm living in Sweden these days and I speak a lot of Swedish and it seems like my English is getting worse. So I'll put a couple of strands of polar flash right on top. And then I'm going to bring them over. Also on top. And trim these off. I really like polar flash. I think polar flash looks good. It's a really big chance I use a little more. Okay, so now I have two choices. I can either do the Cactus Chenielle or I could put on the reverse tie. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and do the Cactus Chenielle first. So the Cactus Chenielle that I have chosen for this particular fly is neon pink 6mm Cactus Chenielle. And all you do is you take the chenille and you trim off a little bit on the end, exposing the thread. Just like that. There's the thread. And you lock in your thread. Just like that. And then you bring your bobbin to where the chenille is going to end. And I might as well use my rotary tool, my rotary function. And I'm just wrapping this on the body. Nothing special here. Just gonna wrap it up all the way to the Dumbell Eyes. Just like that. And I take my thread. I'm gonna lock that in nice and tight. And I can make sure that I get away from the bobbin. Remember, you never ever cut on the same side as your bobbin. And we're done with the chenille. So now I have a decision to make. Do I put a little bit more flash or do I put a little bit more craft fur? I don't want this to be a overly humongous fly. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on just a generous clump of craft fur in the reverse tie, and we'll go from there. So I'm going to do this a little bit interesting. I'm going to do this a little bit differently than I normally do. So this is going to be a little bit unique in my videos. I'm going to take 2 clumps of craft fur and I'm going to invert them. The color that I'm using now is called salmon pink, which is, I think, a really cool color. So I have 1 clump of craft fur. I'm going to take another clump and I'm going to face it in the opposite direction. And what this is going to do is this is going to create a little body and it's also going to give me my reverse tie. So you saw I have one clump facing right and one clump facing left, and I'm going to actually put these together and then just pull out a few strands and kind of blend them in together a little, just like this. Beautiful. Just like that. So now it gives me some of the pointed ends on each side. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually not going to put this on in the halfway mark like we normally do with a lot of our ties. I'm going to put this on, say, a little bit more than half forward, which is going to be the portion that gets pulled back. But this is going to be really interesting because I have to distribute around these lead eyes. So a couple of light wraps, and now I need to distribute just like that using my fingers. And I like that. I'm going to distribute around the hook a little, just like that. Pull that tight, and now I wrap it forward all the way to the eye of the hook, or nearly the eye of the hook, which I'm about there. Now I'm going to use my push tool and I'm going to push this back. Actually, I take it back. Before I push it back, I'm going to apply a couple feathers. We're going to take a quick pause to clean. All right, welcome back. So, that's good. Sunday for me, so I'm having a nice rum and coke. I'm going to put a couple of feathers on at this point, which is going to make this look a little bit more fishy. So you see me do this before. A couple of loose wraps. Make sure I like the placement. Remember, this is going to ride hook up. So keep that in mind when you're putting these feathers on and you're considering the placement. I'm going to cut off the tag. Flip my fly to the opposite side. Couple of wraps. Make sure that I like the length. The length is a little short. So I'm going to undo those wraps. Move my fly over. Couple of wraps. A little long so I could pull that. That looks way better. And lock it tight. Cut that little tag off there. And now I could take my push tool and push everything to the back. I think that feather, it's a simple little thing to do, but I think it makes it look so much more fishy. Boy, I got craft fur everywhere. So now I'm going to pull my thread all the way forward and make that wall in front of the craft fur. Just like that. All these crazy fibers can get pulled off. All right. So now we're at the point of the video where I'm going to select some eyes, and I'm going to select what color I'm gonna make the eyes and the head. Actually gonna give this a couple of wraps. I don't want it to be that bulky. And all these little fibers that are going the wrong way, you could just pluck them right off. Just like that. The feather I don't want to pluck. The feather had a couple little... The feather, if I pluck the feather, it might yank it the wrong way. So now I'm happy with that, and I can give this a whip finish. And like all my flies, I really believe that this fly, just the way it is right now, will absolutely catch fish. There's no doubt in my mind that this fly will catch fish. But I like putting on eyes, and I like giving it that little extra touch. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that any little detail that I can add will just help me catch fish. So I'm gonna take a 2-second pause and clean, and then I'll be right back and we'll fill the head. All right, so welcome back. So it's time for us to pick some eyeballs and make a head. I'm most likely going to fast forward with a good amount of this section of the video. So I will put a link to other videos where I have actually made the head with, and put the entire head making process in the video. So here we go. All right, so welcome back. So now I have made my head, and you can see I used silver was the final color selection. I used silver eyes. They are eyes I bought in the United States, so they are 1/4 of an inch eyes. And the only thing left for me to do with this fly is put it in some warm water and hang it the way I want. And when I do that, this fly, believe it or not, even though right now it doesn't want to, it will take that torpedo shape that is my goal. And I think that this fly will look very good in the water. So right now it doesn't want to take that shape, but it will, I promise. Crab fur does take that great little baitfish shape that I like, and the action will be really great. And this fly will actually, I'm actually showing it to you wrong. I should be showing it to you like this, because this is how this fly is gonna swim in the water. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. That's how this fly is gonna look in the water. So don't forget to like and subscribe. And don't forget that we're trying to put out a video every single Friday. So far we have been very successful, plus a few additional videos. And see you on the next video with a cocktail. Thanks for watching.